and welcome. I am Harsha Sinha. World Meteorological Day is celebrated every year on 23rd March to remember the entry into force in 1950 of the convention that created the World Meteorological Organization. The day also highlights the contribution that national meteorological and hydrological services make to the safety of well-being of the society. Let's have a quick look on this report. Long-term climate change is increasing the intensity and frequency of extreme weather and climate events and causing sea level rise and ocean acidification. This is why one of the top priorities of WMO, that is World Meteorological Organization, and National Meteorological and Hydrological Services is to protect lives, livelihoods and property from the risks related to weather, climate and water events. The organization showcases the essential contribution of national meteorological and hydrological services to the safety and well-being of the society and is celebrated with activities around the world. World Meteorological Organization celebrates the annual event with a theme related to weather. This year, the theme is the sun, the earth and the weather. The sun delivers the energy that powers all life on earth. It shapes our moods and daily activities. It is the inspiration for music, photography and art. Joining me in the program is Dr. M. Mohapatra, who is the Head of Services IMD. He is also known as Cyclone Man of India. And we have Dr. A.K. Mitra, who is a Senior Scientist, NCM RWF. Welcome to the program, sir. So first of all, I would like to understand from you, what is the role of weather in our daily lives?
Weather is very important in our daily life. If you look at any activity, whether it is social activity or economic activity, agricultural activity, industrial activity or even the human activities, you will find that there is role of weather. When you get up in the early morning, first you think of how is the weather is today. And when you plan for any activity, you also think of how will be the weather. So weather is a part and parcel of a human being. Therefore, from the very beginning, even before the civilization came into existence, the human being thought of weather. Okay. If you look at the weather descriptions in various epics and world literature, you will find that as soon as the human being came into existence, it tried to learn about the weather, it tried to exploit the information weather for its well-being. And at present, if you just look at this weather information is playing a dominant role in our day-to-day life by preparing ourselves with respect to food, with respect to health, with respect to our movement and with respect to our planning all the activities. Similarly, if you just look at the social programs like some marriage or any other functions being carried out on a day-to-day basis, the organizer takes care of weather at first before planning the event. If you look at the economic activities, the Indian economy is largely dependent on weather, especially the monsoon.
Definitely.
If monsoon is successful, monsoon rain is successful, then Indian economy progresses.
Yeah, definitely.
So therefore, we say monsoon is life, for India. The gross domestic product of a particular country, if you just look at, it also depends upon the weather. Specifically, the role of weather becomes very crucial when we consider the disasters associated with the weather or the weather related hazards.
Yes, I was coming
so
to
like
that
a country in India, you have got various types of hazards. We experience heavy rainfall leading to floods during monsoon season, and also we have the dry spells leading to droughts during monsoon season. Also, we experience the cyclones in two seasons, during April to June and during October to December. And these cyclones are the killers. They kill people. Of course, with the advancement of science of meteorology in recent years, the number of deaths have decreased. But however, the impact in terms of the loss of property due to the cyclones are increasing.
Loss of property and loss of life.
Loss of life has decreased, but loss of property is increasing throughout the world and also in India, because economy is improving.
Yes, it is a weather-related activity
Yeah.
which happens to every human being. I would like to understand from Dr. Mitra, how does sun affect the Earth's weather?
If there is no sun, let's say, there will be no climate system.
There's no sun, then there's no life, is it?
No life, yeah. But next to life, we need to breathe, we need water. So if there is no sun, there will be no weather or climate. This changing day-to-day changes in wind, moisture, temperature. So sun is the main driving force of the whole climate system. For example, the wind, which is changing, is due to the pressure gradient, which is created by the amount of solar heating at different places. And the second thing is moisture. So how much evaporation is happening, where from we are getting this moisture, that decides the weather of a region in any day. So that's why the role of sun, we can think of that we have a background climate system which is changing with days and months and seasons. So the sun is actually setting the background, and there is the variability of the atmosphere, which is varying
Is the
from...
sun setting the background, or we letting the sun set the background?
No, sun is primary.
Is it?
Yeah. If
Is
there
it?
is no sun, let's say the season is changing, you have day and night. So if you see seasons, it's mainly due to Earth's rotation and position with respect to sun. So you can see the summer to winter, the changes in temperature, how much we experience it, it's mainly due to the solar radiation.
So
Role
in
it
short,
plays in
sun
the
is life,
weather and climate.
is it? So this is how sun affects the Earth's weather. All right. So we discussed about sun's effect on Earth's weather. We have to discuss the solar spots in changing the Earth's weather, but on the other side of this short break.
डीडी साइंस भारत सरकार के विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग और दूरदर्शन की संयुक्त परियोजना है। इस परियोजना में सोमवार से शनिवार शाम 5 से 6 बजे तक विज्ञान समर्पित कार्यक्रम के लिए दूरदर्शन के राष्ट्रीय चैनल पर 1 घंटे का समय निर्धारित है। डीडी साइंस भारतीय संस्थानों और विज्ञान की प्रयोगशालाओं में विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी के क्षेत्र में होने वाले नवीनतम विकास और देश व दुनिया के विज्ञान से संबंधित कार्यक्रमों और समाचारों को दिखाएगा। ये कार्यक्रम विज्ञान प्रसार द्वारा कार्यान्वित किया गया है। अधिक जानकारी के लिए कृपया विज्ञान प्रसार की आधिकारिक वेबसाइट www.vigyanprasar.gov.in पर जाएं।
Welcome back. We are discussing importance of weather in our daily lives. So Dr. Mitra, I would like to understand from you, can events like solar spots change the Earth's weather?
Yeah, solar spot is a very important activity of the radiation, the solar heating we get from the sun. So first let me tell what's the solar spot cycle. So we have a 11-year cycle of solar spot,
Okay.
which is governed by the 22 years of cycle of sun's magnetic field.
All right.
So basically, let's say every 11 years, the solar spot activity reaches a peak, then it comes down.
No, I just want to understand what is a solar spot activity. I didn't get that.
So people who are studying about the suns, so you have lower temperature on the sun's surface. So there are spots which are relatively lesser temperature if one measures, and they usually happen in pairs. And the solar spot activity, it's on the sun people measure, and there are satellites to measure those things. So the solar spot activity people have studied from many decades, and what we have learned now that there is a 11-year cycle. So in 11 years it reaches a peak, then it reaches a minima. So for example, the last maxima was in 2011 or 2011 to 13, and now in 2019 there will be a minima. So when we talk
2019, it will be what?
minimum solar spot activity.
Solar spot
Yeah.
activity
So
would be
there is
less.
a 11 to 12 years of cycle.
Acha.
So the last, for example, the maxima was 2013. So this minima will be in 2019. So one maxima to another maxima is roughly 11 to 12 years.
All right. Okay, so we discussed about the solar spot activities and the cycle and how it works on Earth's weather. I would like to understand from Dr. Mohapatra. Please let us understand what is space weather.
As Dr. Mitra was explaining the sunspot cycle, during sunspot cycle, the magnetic field activity within the sun shows a periodic variations. During this active period, the magnetic field lines increases and it propagates towards the surface of the sun, and it spreads over the surface of the sun, or you can say face of the sun. As a result, you can say there is an activity like a electromagnetic storm, and hence there is solar flares, there is coronal mass ejections, also other electromagnetic phenomena. When this type of phenomena occurs in association with this sunspot cycle, these phenomena can lead to have adverse impact on the astronauts. It can have the impact on the satellites. It can even damage the satellites. It can disrupt the satellite operations. You can have wrong information on the navigation of the satellites.
Okay.
If you are going to find out the positioning, say geopositioning of a particular parameter with the help of the satellite, that can go wrong. Even in the polar region, you will find that there can be disruption in a radio frequency, or you can say there can be a radio blackout in the polar regions.
All right.
So what happens actually, because of this ejection of this coronal mass and solar flares, other electromagnetic phenomena, there will be some impact on the atmosphere of the Earth.
All right.
In the top of the atmosphere, which contains mainly oxygen and nitrogen, these magnetic phenomena excites the molecules of oxygen and nitrogen. When these oxygen and nitrogen relax after the excitations, they emit energy, and this energy which is emitted creates light.
Creates light.
Light.
Okay.
So therefore, this phenomena you will find that it leads to formation of a light near the polar region, which is popularly called as aurora borealis in northern pole and aurora australis in southern pole.
All right. I want to add on something.
Just
Yes.
add one more point to what
Please.
Dr. Mahapatra said. It's very important. See, the solar flares. See, if you see the record in 2001, there was the highest solar flare, and there was a higher activity in 1989. So coming to the polar region, Dr. Mahapatra said, so there was an instance in March 1989 in Canada, which is close to the northern polar region. The electrical grid system failed because of high solar flare activity. So it can influence not only the space weather, where all the satellites are there, and it can even impact on the Earth in the polar region.
Okay.
So adding to that, now India is gearing up to work on the solar weather forecasting, which is very crucial because we don't realize how much this communication, our mobile phones, the
Very true.
aircraft movement, everything is linked to the satellites we operate.
Very true. So if you are talking about the scientific methods of forecasting the weather, I just want to know the different kinds of scientific instruments which are used for forecasting the weather.
Yeah, as I told, it's a new area.
It's a new area, is
yeah,
it?
so for India, it's totally new. So the Indian system, I heard that Minister of Earth Sciences and ISRO, they are gearing up for this. What kind of challenges are required? Luckily, India has a good space program. So we are very fortunate compared to other countries, and we have the confidence that we can take up this new work.
So Dr. Mohapatra, I would like to understand from you, what are the different types of scientific instruments which are used for forecasting the weather?
See, weather forecasting is an initial value problem. That means if you can correctly monitor the initial status of the weather phenomena, then you can predict it better. So, to have a correct estimation of the initial status of the atmosphere, ocean, earth and associated weather, we need the observations. These observations are taken in 4 dimensions, that means in 3 dimension space, 1 dimension is the time. That means we take the
3
observations
dimension is
in
what?
space,
The
space.
And 1 dimension is what?
The time.
The time,
Yeah.
space and time.
Yes, that means you have got 4 dimensional observations, space and time.
Space and
That
time.
means when I say 3 dimensional space observation, that means you have got the observations in all directions at the surface,
All right.
and also observations in the atmosphere itself.
True.
Similarly, when I say the observation with respect to time, that means you have to take observations in a fixed time throughout the year, and also sometimes you have got the continuous observations throughout the year. So, for this type of observations, we have got various types of networks. For surface observations, we have got departmental observatories, which record the observations with the fixed observational network, like say thermometer for temperature, or anemometer for wind speed, wind vane for wind directions, or barometer for pressure, like that.
All right.
Similarly, for the upper atmosphere observations, what we do actually, we release the balloons. These balloons are tracked with help of the radar, and the position of the balloon and the associated sensors observations in different layers of the atmosphere are recorded and transmitted through a telemetry system to the ground stations.
All right.
And by this way, we record the vertical profile of all the weather parameters in the atmosphere of a height of say 30 to 40 kilometers.
All right. So these are the different kind of instruments which
in
are
addition
used.
to that, we have got remotely sensed observations like the observations from the satellite
Okay.
and observations from the radar.
All right. So we discussed about scientific instruments which are used in forecasting weather. We have to discuss the modern techniques in forecasting the weather, but on the other side of this very short break.
टीडी साइंस भारत सरकार के विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग और दूरदर्शन की संयुक्त परियोजना है। इस परियोजना में सोमवार से शनिवार शाम 5 से 6 बजे तक विज्ञान समर्पित कार्यक्रम के लिए दूरदर्शन के राष्ट्रीय चैनल पर 1 घंटे का समय निर्धारित है। टीडी साइंस भारतीय संस्थानों और विज्ञान की प्रयोगशालाओं में विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी के क्षेत्र में होने वाले नवीनतम विकास और देश व दुनिया के विज्ञान से संबंधित कार्यक्रमों और समाचारों को दिखाएगा। ये कार्यक्रम विज्ञान प्रसार द्वारा कार्यान्वित किया गया है। अधिक जानकारी के लिए कृपया विज्ञान प्रसार की आधिकारिक वेबसाइट www.vigyanprasar.gov.in पर जाएं।
Welcome back. We are discussing importance of weather. So Dr. Mitra, I would like to understand from you how effective are modern techniques in weather forecasting?
For weather forecasting, now we have migrated for last almost 1 decade, you can say, to a new technique called dynamical based computer models.
Okay.
So we use very high.
And if I can add the supercomputer, how
Yeah.
the supercomputer plays an important role in forecasting the weather?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
you're going to
Dr.
answer that.
Mahapatra told you the importance of observing system. So if you know the today's weather, you measure today's weather with various kind of instruments and satellites and aircrafts. So you have an idea in terms of number, the 3-dimensional aspect of the weather, temperature, moisture, wind. So that's what we call initial condition. Then using supercomputer, we use dynamical models, which are called numerical weather prediction model, or you can simply say computer model to predict weather. So that's the modern basis for predicting weather.
Yeah.
And in India, we have started using it in the last.
We have so many techniques to predict weather, but still the weather is unpredictable.
Yeah, if you have noticed in last 10 years, the prediction and the skill of forecasting has improved a lot.
Yes, it
which was
has.
not there earlier. So it's mainly because of the computer models, the availability of supercomputer, and the expansion of the observing network. These three things combinedly has improved the skill of the forecasting. So coming back to the methodology, we use computer models, and in coming days also, the models will be the basis for predicting, and these models are being refined with time. Like what we had 10 years back, we are having a better model today, and in future, let's say 5 years from now, we'll have much more better model, mainly because of the high supercomputer availability and the availability of satellite data. So today, if you see, we are very good in predicting the large scale phenomena. Let's say this winter, you can recall, if you have seen the weather forecast, we call it western disturbances. So in January, February, series of western disturbances were coming, and we were able to predict using computer models well in advance. Similarly, the cyclones we have seen in last few years, they were all predicted. But when you come to the details, like we call it mesoscale or small scale things, so to exactly predict where exactly it will rain in the smaller scale, which is the research for the coming years. But
Is it becoming difficult to predict the rains in that smaller area? Is it like that?
yeah, it's a totally different kind of scale. So we have large scale, mesoscale, and very small scale, like the thunderstorm. So we are very good now in the large scale and in even the mesoscale. But in the smaller scale, we have started a lot of activity, observing programs, as focused to the thunderstorm and smaller scale things. There are many smaller scale things, and the models are also being developed to predict and capture those things. And I am sure in coming few years we'll be able to predict the small scale things very accurately.
All right. So
I just
we
want to
discussed
add
about
here,
yeah. Sure.
If you just go 15 years back, in India we have got only one model.
Yeah,
It
I
was
knew
a
that.
limited area
I knew
model.
that you were going to talk
Okay.
about this only.
And it was covering
Yeah.
only Indian region. It was giving forecast only up to 48 hours,
Yeah,
and accuracy was not good.
that's very true.
And over the years, with the expansion of the meteorological activity in the country, with the establishment of Ministry of Earth Sciences in 2006, we came up with a well-defined plan and procedure for augmenting our computational facility and also enhancing our modeling capability.
Undoubtedly. So, Dr. Mohapatra, I would also like to understand from you, since we are, talking about WMO. So, what is the contribution of India to a WMO?
The World Meteorological Organization is a nodal agency of United Nations to coordinate the various member countries in the globe for exchange of informations among the countries, exchange of technologies among the countries, development of capacity in all aspects of weather and climate, so that irrespective of the socio-economic condition of different countries, they are empowered to combat the hazards due to the weather and climate and save the economy and lives of the people.
Definitely.
WMO has recognized India as a regional specialized meteorological center. It is one of the 6 centers in the world to provide the tropical cyclone forecast and warning services to all the countries in the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea region.
A contribution to WMO, one example.
Yeah, sure.
So we cannot tell all the contribution, but one big contribution regarding the ensemble forecasting, Dr. Mohapatra said. So we have global models and we have roughly 44 members. That means earlier, let's say we are running one global model for 10 days.
That's
it
true.
requires huge supercomputing power.
Supercomputing power.
Yeah.
All right.
So now we are running 40 models, you can see. So 40 times more supercomputing power India is contributing, and that data is
So
shared
the power
with
is
WMO.
40 times bigger than what it
No,
used to
we
be
are
in the
resources.
past.
In terms of
Yeah?
resources,
Resources
we are
is
spending 40 times
40 more times bigger.
and producing a data which is
Yeah.
called ensemble forecast, probabilistic forecast.
So this is the contribution of India towards WMO. The organization was established aiming to create a big meteorological station network contributing towards the safety and welfare of the people. It also offers very significant role towards water resource safety, food security and transport. I would like to thank Dr. Mohapatra and Dr. Mitra for sharing valuable information with us. Thank you so much for coming in our studio.
Thank you.
So that's all for today. We'll be back with many more. Please write to us and let us know your suggestions on the given email ID. Till we come back, good day.